Hello. Once again, I come before you as a representative of the Illuminati. You may call me the Man. Well, this week's topic was suggested by a viewer who wanted to know if I could do a video on whether or not the NWO is already on Mars. And that's a very specific kind of suggestion. It's almost as if somebody in our organization maybe have put them up to it. Well, it all depends upon the NWO. What you mean by that? If you're George Herbert Walker Bush, you mean that nations are cooperating together, and that's a new world order for him. If you're a radio host in Austin, Texas, you mean people who move behind the scenes in order to kill everybody else. I think he's talking about us when he says stuff like that. We're not out to kill anybody, by the way. I don't know if that helps. But if you're talking about us as the NWO, then yes, I'm afraid that we are on Mars. Now, I know I haven't mentioned Mars a whole lot. I think I mentioned it once when the Curiosity rover landed there. And, that was a great day for humanity because at the time, of course, we were under that audit from the Anunnaki. We didn't know whether or not humanity here on Earth would survive, and so we ceded our race to Mars. But that's not the only time we've been to Mars, actually. And as for civilizations that developed there, well, I guess there haven't been any indigenous civilizations there. However, there have been three if you count us, but two other civilizations that set up camp on Mars. One of them is incredibly old. We don't even have a name for it. And we just found some artifacts and some translated stuff from the second guys who went there. They managed to translate some of their stuff, and then of course we translated. It's a whole thing. Anyway, but the first guys went there in order to see the fish. That's kind of what they said. I assume they were talking about us, and at the time, the Earth had a very large aquatic life going on at the time, not so much terrestrial, but they came to see the fish. It was weird. The second group that was there were the Dillians. Now, the Dillians, if you ask the Anunnaki about the Dillians, and we did, they laugh a lot. But the Dillians, they're a very interesting race of creatures. I mean, I don't really know what you call them, but you see, they develop so that they share knowledge telepathically, right? And what one learns, the rest of them learn, and they still write stuff down for posterity, right? You never know when your meteor's going to come along, smash somebody or whatever, or something that actually did happen to them that wiped out their entire race in this side of the galaxy. They got caught with a virus. It was a mental virus, and it was rough on them. Came in the form of a song. You may have heard the song actually because we released it not some time ago. We figured the South Koreans could probably handle it. If any species on Earth can handle it, human beings can, because we don't telepathically share anything. We send things through music and stuff. But if any group of us that could handle it, it would be those South Koreans. And there's a whole reason why, and I would go into it right now, but we're talking about Mars. So that's probably going to get me off track, and next thing I know, 15 minutes have passed. Anyway, but yeah, I'm sure you've heard of it. It was Gangnam Style. I believe they released it here, Opium Gangnam Style. And it caught on quite a bit here, but it didn't do nearly the damage it did to those Dillians. They were sadly wiped out from the whole half of the galaxy. However, they had set up camp there, and then when we came there in the 70s, because we found that transporter that was on the moon. If you go back and watch the moon stuff, it seems like I'm rambling on in explanation, and it's every door opens another door, and I'm just never going to get finished. But let's compress it. Okay, we went to the moon, found a transporter, went to Mars, looked around, established some bases. We're working on terraforming Mars. We're going to get some people over there. Kind of like Australia at first. We're going to send people that, are thieves. Thieves are always fun. And yeah, we're sending those, the guys who don't really fit in with society here. And we're going to ship them all there, politicians, and see what happens, basically. It'd be a much better place here with those people gone anyway. But so we started terraforming Mars and stuff, and we're doing it kind of underground right now in containments. And we have, of course, your Mars rover show. There's a guy walking around with that thing, with the remote control. You didn't think we could actually control it from Earth, did you? I mean, did you see the satellite dish on this thing that's supposed to receive this? Yeah, I mean, you can't get the dish network to work when the clouds come. How do you think it's going to happen through space? No, there's a guy down there, and he's following it around with a little remote control. He's getting a series of stuff from the satellites that we have on Mars that are transmitting from here to there to them. But I think I would have thought most people have already figured that out. But anyway, yeah, so he's walking around, and they're sending out pictures back and forth, and it looks like a bunch of rocks, and especially red rocks. No, actually, it's quite nice. I've been there several times. I like to vacation there because it helps me get away from certain people in the audience here to work with me. But anyway, yes, so it's a nice place. I highly recommend it. In a few hundred years when all the civilizations kind of worked out. If you, the thieves have to come up with some sort of structure, and of course somebody's got to eat the politicians. But anyway, eventually all that's going to get worked out, and then we'll all go to Mars. It'll be a nice place. And I hope that answers your questions. Is the NWO on Mars? Well, yeah. If you're meaning us, we are in fact on there, and we travel there quite frequently. Now, of course, we couldn't get there during the audit because, the Anunnaki had taken over the moon base, and so the transporter was out, which means we had to actually send a rocket, which had it's just a long thing. You can actually go back and see the Curiosity video and how that fits in. And anyway, that's kind of what's happened. The Dillians, they left behind a complete record of what they did while they were there, up into the music part. We have some more things being rolled out in the future. That's going to be very interesting. You guys out there who thought you saw a face on Mars back in the 70s, yes, you did. Congratulations. All right, great. Yeah, there was a face on Mars. The Dillians did that. We had to obliterate that, by the way, in order to keep the secret. And we did a good job. There was a lot of dynamite involved, but we did a good job. I think it kind of smoothed things out, left kind of the imprint, so we were like, oh, maybe there's a face, maybe no. Anyway, yeah, there was a face. And so that's all gone. People just aren't ready, people aren't ready. The aliens aren't ready for you to know that they're there. It's just, anyway, the aliens are long gone. No point knowing about them. I'm telling you guys because there's only a couple thousand you fellows out there anyway, and nobody's going to believe us. So, that's this week's topic. If you have a topic, if you have a question, just leave it in the comment section below. And remember, even though the audit's over, it's still a good idea to kind of progress humanity forward. So we're not quite as violent and self-destructive as we usually are. So to that end, if you could... I don't know, just kind of relax, take note of who steals from you so we know who to sit in the bars. And most of all, when you see those chemtrails up there blazing in the sky, well, I would just relax if I were you and breathe deeply.